Sometimes we all need a reminder of why we're here. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of the Dice Commando community. Whether it be watching over your morning coffee or in bed at night, listening on your commute or at work, or engaging on our Discord and playing in our events, to whatever extent you engage in our little slice of the FaB community, I hope it enhances your enjoyment of the game as much as it does mine. Now, community is kind of an interesting concept in something like Flesh and Blood. Sure, we're all part of the global community of players, but for the 99% of us who don't measure our personal value on if we won nationals or what our ELO is, our participation at a global level is realistically pretty limited. Instead, our personal experience of community is, in reality, the social interactions that we form and experience on a regular or a day-to-day basis. Now, for the majority of us for which FaB is a hobby, an escape, or a distraction, and where it is an enhancement to but not a definition of our real lives, finding, embracing, and developing our own communities is a vital part of our enjoyment of this game. And those communities, whatever it may mean to you, is where your effort and calories should be spent. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Thank you for opening your doors day after day so that people may come together to play great games. The very foundation of this game, from the company's founding mission statement of come together to play great games, to the very name itself, Flesh and Blood, is about person-to-person interaction, which in every manner of my interpretation is ultimately about community. Hello and welcome to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. I'm Andy with you here as always, and I have to be honest, this is a somewhat emotional topic for me today. So to explain the inspiration for this video, I really want to tell a very quick story. So, coming out of Christmas and the holidays and all, there was a lot of negativity online, right? The global Facebook page, I'll be honest, is kind of a joke these days. But on top of that, right, as things have been growing, Flesh and Blood has been growing, and the channel's been growing, and just human nature, negative feedback and negative interactions carry more weight, right? I put in a lot of work for this. I'm often not playing events versus running them, only to be told that your lifetime XP isn't high enough, you can't do X, or that you don't even belong to have an opinion in the community because you don't have lifetime XP, or whatever the chatter may be, right? Now, obviously, right, all that is absolute bunk. It's garbage, it's noise. But it does start adding up emotionally. And that's why what members of my community did for me a few weeks back was an amazing reminder of why our communities matter. Right? So we had just got done running, I think it was our second week in January, and the guys came up to me after the tournament, and you can see I'm getting emotional about this, right? They came up to me after the tournament and they gave me a box. So I open up the box and it says, thanks, right? Thanks for putting up with our chaff, right? And it just filled with ELE draft chaff, right? And it was hilarious, right? Well done, right? So they're like, oh, well, and I thought it was great because, I always put together decks and stuff to give to people, or I like to have extra commons. And I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was great. And they're like, no, you should dig in there. So I do. I dig through there, and what I ended up finding was this, right? I think they ultimately just got tired of me bitching that I didn't have Command and Conquers, which isn't true. I wasn't bitching about it, but whatever. Joke aside, like I said, I'm getting emotional. I'm a little off of it. So the point is, they had, as a group, they'd gotten together and got me a full play set of Command and Conquers. Now, I'll be very, very blunt here. If what you're taking from this story is that they gave me $300 worth of cards, you're missing the point, right? And for those who did this for me, and you know who you are, thank you. Not just for what you gave me. It was a very nice, the present was very nice, but it wasn't the present, it was the gesture, right? What you gave me was incredible, but really what you did for me, and the timing of it also, coming over the holiday season, the break season, what it was very, very, very needed. And it was perfect because it served as a very needed and important reminder for me of why we do what we do, right? Why it's important and what we as players are really doing here, right? It's not about winning games. It's about making memories, friends, and beyond, right? I think Flesh and Blood has a lot of legs. I think it's going to be here for a long time. I honestly believe that. That's why I'm here putting the effort into it. That said, games die, games go away, and friends last longer than that. I have many friends that I've met playing games that we've moved on to other games with, right? And isn't that more important than the cardboard? I personally think it is. Now, okay, obviously, with all that said, we're talking about community tonight and the importance of it. And I wanted to just put that in context, right? I wanted to thank the guys that did that. That meant a lot. But it's there's more to it than that, right? It served, like I said, it served as that reminder of why we're actually here. It's so easy in games like this, especially in a game like Flesh and Blood, but in any of these competitive TCGs or games as it is, it's very easy to get caught up in the top tier competitive or the global thing, right? Where the the vocal minority, whatever it may be, has the voice. Now, I do want to address, top tier competitive, right? Top tier competitive is extremely important for these type of games. What is played at the top tier shapes and impacts the entire global community of the game, because the trickle-down effect, if you want to call it that, to your locals and even the kitchen table is quite real. It is a real thing. So as much as one may despise a meta deck and such, ensuring a healthy and balanced top meta exists is extremely important for the company running that game. Because the unfortunate reality is that it serves as the face of the game, right? People are going to go online and they're going to Google things and they're going to watch podcasts and they're going to listen to podcasts and watch videos and right. And people aren't going to, well, here I think we actually do a pretty good job of doing casual, but the majority of the content out there, the majority of the stuff that people engage with on a daily basis outside of the person-to-person interaction is largely somewhat of a trickle down to some extent from that top tier. So it is important, right? So what I want to do is I want to kick off the cast tonight, not like we haven't already been here for 4 minutes, right? But let me kick off the cast tonight with this statement. I'm going to read it so I don't screw it up. While the top tier competitive is extremely important, it doesn't have to define the core of the gaming community. And certainly it doesn't have to define your community and your enjoyment of the game. So before we move on in the discussion, I actually want to encourage you to go ahead and maybe hit the pause button and really think about what community means to you, right? What does this game mean to you? What does community mean to you? And to be clear here, it's not the same for everybody, right? And it can change over time, right? Depending on your life situation. We all have jobs, we all have kids, and whatever it may be, right? So what does it really mean to you? For myself, I have the Gongai team, which I engage with on a daily, weekly tournament basis, plus whatever casual games I can manage to get to. I have the Dice Commando guys on the Discord, our social circle there, where we engage on a daily, if not hourly basis, right? I have you guys, which I engage with on comments. I peruse the global Facebook page. It's gotten pretty bad, to be honest. And I really avoid like Reddit and the other Discords and stuff like that because it's just too much, and for me it's just a negative for me. But many of you are part of it and have a positive experience, right? So like I said, it's very different for everyone. So defining what it means for you is very, very important. Now, like I mentioned way earlier, the kind of the takeaway from tonight is it's very important for you to understand what your success criteria is in terms of your community, right? What is your community? What do you want to do with it, right? Because that's where you should be putting your effort, right? You're not going to fix, right? You guys know how social media, 99% of us understand how social media works in that, it's the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? The person who has time to sit and comment on everything and make their post or whatever can drive the conversation, right? We had an incident, a couple weeks ago where someone was like, all the content creators are crud. And it was hilarious, right? And the community outcry, right? But why should, one person being able to drive it? That's what I'm saying. One person be able to drive a relatively negative part of the conversation is kind of ridiculous. And that's a perfect example of how your community, or that is a perfect example of how your perception and your enjoyment of the game can be affected by a community that you're not even a part of, because we're putting too much stake in something or something else, right? Whereas we should really be, I'll give a hug here, right? We should be embracing the community that we engage with and we enjoy engaging with and that we get value out of, right? Because if you get value out of it and you put value into it, everyone else will get value out of it, and we can all have one big bear hug, right? I mean, I'm not trying to get overly emotional and overly sappy here, right? But why focus in on something that's not, why focus in on something that doesn't directly affect you? And, you know, something that's been very interesting about Flesh and Blood is I've been, as you guys know, I've been in Flesh and Blood since the beginning. And watching it grow over time has really been fascinating, because it's gone through phases, right? Part of the reason that I'm on the global Facebook page is because that was really that was kind of the community when the game first got started, but that's no longer the case, right? So one should argue, well, Andrew, why are you even still there? Excellent question. I don't have an answer for that right now, right? But the example here is, even within your local, let's boil it down to your local, right? You are maybe one of the early adopters, and you had all the cards and nobody else did, right? And you were building your community, giving away free decks and stuff. You were the big guy. But as your community, your local area, maybe other stores have picked it up, your city has started to grow, in FaB, right? But the point is, maybe you're no longer the big dog in FaB, right? It used to be that you would place in the top 1 to 3 of every armory because you had the stuff, you knew how to play. Well, other people have come up, other people have arrived, right? So does that mean that your enjoyment of the game is going down? I mean, if your success criteria is that you have to win every game, then fine. I get that, then maybe it is, right? But that's what I'm saying in terms of a community standpoint. You should feel success on that, right? The effort that you put in to grow that community, to bring more people to playing FaB because you wanted to play with people, that is a good thing, and you should take enjoyment from that, versus saying, oh my gosh, stuff have grown. I mean, not oh my gosh, stuff have grown. Like, let's be very clear here, right? But to say, man, I'm not doing well. I'm not getting as much enjoyment from my community because the community has changed. Well, that's what you were doing, right? You were helping to grow your community. You were helping to bring people in, right? Is it really for you? And it may be, right? This is not a judgmental statement, right? But was it really about winning the shiny foil at every tournament, or was it about bringing the people in that you go and get a beer with after, right? Because realistically in your life, over the long term of your life, you're going to have much better experience with those beers that you shared versus the shiny foil that you flipped on eBay, right? And I know that's a little bit of extreme, and it's a little harsh. I'm sorry. And if you took offense to that, it wasn't meant as a shot. It's just meant to put things in perspective, right? What is your success criteria? If that is, it's fine. But for the majority of us who want to enjoy the day-to-day, the coming together to play great games, for the majority of us, it's growing our community and really harnessing and embracing those relationships and growing it. And, you know, sometimes we have to be reminded of that. And that's what I wanted to do tonight, was just throw it out there right now. Hey folks, sorry for the quick break there. My wife and son are on vacation and they called and I had to take the call because bedtimes and all that. And, you know, it's my family. And ironically, I think that actually kind of, maybe not ironically, appropriately, whatever, I think it kind of feeds into the point of this, and is that, you know, we all have different things going on in our lives to whatever extent it may be, and based on what you have in your life, you have to make the decision to what level you want to be engaged, what matters to you, what's important to you. And I think that's very important for us to determine what does matter for you and silence the rest. So anyway, we can basically start to wrap up tonight, because I think I made the point. And, you know, for, you know, the reality is that there are going to be some out there who watch this. And I mean, to be fair, likely those people didn't make it to this point, right? But there are going to be some out there who are just like, no, FaB is a competitive game. You should go balls to the wall no matter what, right? And like, again, you know, it only takes one person to make an internet thread or whatever, right? And to that end, you guys have noticed that at no point tonight did I mention any sponsorship. Nobody's sponsoring this episode. That's not that the normal sponsors we have or the normal affiliations I have don't support community. That's not the case. It's that I wanted to make sure that the 1 out of 100 person or the 1 out of 1,000 person that took offense with the one minuscule argument that I made tonight versus listening to the whole argument didn't take anybody down with me, right? I mean, that's just the truth of it, right? So, and to that end, you'll guys notice that this video was also, you shouldn't have had to watch any commercial, at least from my end, you shouldn't have had to watch any commercials. This video was not monetized. I felt that in the true spirit of trying to talk about what I talked about, that monetizing this was kind of counterproductive, right? Or not counterproductive, but hypocritical, right? There, that's the word I was looking for, right? So, and besides, I mean, realistically, the $1.50 I'm making from doing this video is, peanuts compared to trying to improve all of our local communities. So, anyway, with all that said, all the disclaimers and all that such out of the way, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And the point of tonight, if you're going to take away anything from tonight, if you're still here for whatever reason, it's really about find what matters to you, what brings happiness to you, and help grow it, right? Don't get bogged down by idiots on global pages or global global pages, global Reddit, whatever it may be, right? If it's not something that directly affects you, don't let it bother you, right? Grow what matters to you, right? This game is big enough now that we can identify with various communities and we can grow our communities and embrace them and make them better, which is going to enhance our enjoyment of this game. Because again, people coming together to play great games is what this is about. It's what brings us enjoyment and it's what really matters. So anyway, with that said, I always say this, you see it always on the intro. It's all about community, right? Community first, and go Commando.